The weekly 30/30 trading list on the ASX. We're looking at the top 30 strongest momentum companies over the quarter, and then we have a look at this week's best launchpad stocks. They've gained momentum in the week and they're looking like they're ready to run even harder. This is where we break them down, have a look at the charts, and Gary Glover looks at them, the themes, and then how to trade them. This is Gary Glover from Novus Capital. Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Chris. Yeah, interesting list this week, actually. A lot interesting sort of companies and some interesting movements, and yeah, it's actually a lot going on.
Well, it's good to hear that, because about, what was it, 5-6 weeks ago, we were looking at the list and saying it's all terrible.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But that was just before the market sort of bottomed and good trades. And those who follow you see that your portfolio has performed very well. That's the Tuesday videos. But the list that you're looking at here, if you have a look at those, the momentum leaders, so over that quarter, how's that list looking at the moment?
Yeah, so I got the number one again. So interesting that Silex, which was number one last week, possibly even number 1 week before that, might have been 2 or 3 weeks in a row here now, was definitely number one last week. I remember talking about this and having an upstart with, but yeah, it's look, I think I sort of said to you, I was a little bit wary of the fact that this correction here had been the largest of the move, and then just got to be careful of my marginal. Sometimes they can go up to near the high or a marginal new high, but just be good to be careful of that. But so the market's sort of gone up here. It's gone up on light volume here. The only concern here is that sort of bigger move there. So that can be, like a distribution day. So it's like a, it's like that's a big distribution day there on the bottom, So market's sold off and then bang, big volume sort of comes in. So oftentimes these volume days can be like a distribution day, can signal a bit of a peak here. So that's the only short term there. But yeah, but it just goes to show here. I mean, the thing we've seen here with these stocks is that once they sort of hit the launch pad and then get going, and then they stay in the the strongest stocks continue to maintain and stay strong. So it's sort of like I've sort of got my own trading plan in terms of sort of risk to reward and then exiting stuff there. But this sort of you can see here that these stocks can continue to keep running. Some of them will just run. So possibly just a trailing stop there. Maybe that's the best thing for the momentum stocks here, rather than trying to take your money and run. So but yeah, interesting. They just sort of keep going. I think TLX was in our list there last week as well. TLX as well. So it's maintained its strength there. Reported there. Didn't look like a big number to me on the report, but it's popped up again. Whitehaven and New Hope Coal, they've sort of they continue to sort of go a little higher there. There's a little bit of volume there, and but yeah, so I guess I'll just be a little cautious about these ones. But again, if we just goes to show here, the strong have just remained sort of strong there. So but yeah, I would, if I was still long some of these stocks, which I'm not, I would be sort of tightening up here, I think. But yeah, it's interesting that those stocks have remained pretty buoyant, and I've been in this list here for a long time. So yeah, one of the more interesting ones I saw on the list was Nitro, NTO, just because we're sort of like, we're in this bit of a holding pattern here, and today is the first day, or so yesterday, they actually broke out of that. So this is sort of something like the, Nicholas Darvis, the Darvis Box there, basically would have been, they've sort of been breaking to a bit of a new high here. That might be a bit of a, a trigger day for some people there. Maybe even just looking at, breaking above some of these other swing highs as well. Once you start to stabilize there, obviously got a little bit of a low there, maybe a higher low, maybe a second higher low in here. Start to stabilize. And once you start breaking above some swing highs, that maybe those are sort of some entry signals there, but not heaps of volume in here, but even lighter on the sell down too. So all that, lighter volume there on the sell down. So yeah, just sort of one interesting there, sort of one that's sort of starting to build. Probably not the best in terms of the sector there. I'm probably still nervous about the sort of technology sector there. Sort of hasn't been one of the leading sectors. It's obviously been probably one of the hardest hit. But yeah, it's just not sort of showing up as one of the strong sectors. Whereas like something like Polynovo, which we know, so we're talking about sort of medical and biomedical, that has been pretty strong here. So they're, I think we've spoken about this for a while. It's one that I quite liked here. Good volume here, light volume, and all the pullbacks just continues to sort of keep ticking high there. So that looks quite good there. I think PME was in the list as well. So another biotech there, which is sort of kicking on. So just here, quite a few in that list look pretty strong. What else was in there? I think Rhythm Bio we've talked about. Still staying pretty strong as well. MP1 was sort of one that had we talked about this here. I was lucky enough to actually be long a few of these. So, but yeah, had a nice little bounce off the low, little tightening up in here, and then a volume again. And then there's that sort of, if you're looking for that little pivot day, breaking up to a new high low, that's often sort of where they can start there. We can saw there that level breaking above that high. It actually went up above there, came back, sat on top of that level, and it's gone again. We've had some decent volume here, so pretty good set of numbers out the other day. It actually sort of hit my target, and I actually traded out before I really get a chance to sort of to do anything about it. But yeah, it still looks pretty positive to me. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you did get sort of hit out on these things, you just say hit your target, and then you can always come back in. So I noticed it sort of cooled off there once it got a bit hot, started to build here. You'd probably just wait for maybe a high low to be breaking, so maybe, if you're looking at your half hourlies or 10 minutes there, you might see that might be sort of breaking to a new high here or breaking above here. So you might have been a chance to sort of maybe reset again. But yeah, sometimes I'm not one to sort of go back to things that you've already been in before. There's plenty going on at the moment. BTH was sort of one that I saw on the list as well. It doesn't look too bad here. This looks sort of nice little congestion there, but I just very, very light volume through here, Chris. That's sort of probably one I'm less excited about. I know we're above the 50 moving average, but volume's pretty light there. So on that basis, I wouldn't touch it just because the volumes are lighter, not really showing too much strength there. STA was sort of one that's on Strandline Resources, so interesting here. Nice little consolidation, a little pop up here, some okay volume through there. So we're back above the 50-day move average, so that's sort of one to keep an eye on here. We got the LFS was one that's had a bit of a run. Again, pretty light volume there, so a bit too hard for me. Chic, obviously we started to see some of the retailers sort of move there, so I've sort of been long some Harvey Norman and Adairs myself. But we see this, had a little bit of a bounce there. What we sort of saw there was some decent volumes. That's the one thing I look for. I want to sort of start to see some volume sort of come in here and then pull back light volume, little consolidation. And if it breaks through there, you can see how that sort of broke through that K level, went up and then came back. So that's what you want to see. You want to see that sort of break up to a level, little throwback to the break zone and then go again. So that's not a bad little strategy. Oftentimes, you sort of can see it sort of heading down. People are like keen to sort of jump in there. You kind of want to see it break a little swing high. That's probably the first time you want to, if you want to sort of put some money in and a little starting position there. This not breaking any swing highs here, so that's you really want to sort of see some sort of break of a swing high there first. So you got one there first, and that's end up being really relevant too. So you'll find that level quite important there. So sometimes you just got to show a little bit of patience. And you would have been a little bit nervous in here because not a lot of volume here. Even though we saw some volume at the low, did sort of but you would have been. You would have liked the fact that there's still not too much volume coming in here on the sell down.
Just for the clarity, where's that first swing high that's broken?
So yeah, see how this had a little rally here, then it started to decline. So this is sort of what's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days up.
Yeah.
So we should go to the same. We should go to a new low in the same amount of time or less. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after 6 days, we hadn't gone to a new low. So this is a lot, down trend here. So, this is what I mean. I sort of if we're looking, sometimes people are looking trying to buy lows. They're sort of trying to step into the market too early. It's just a downtrend. So, you know, rather than sort of jump in there, you really want to be sort of seeing some sort of, you know, you want to see a rally, bit of a consolidation, and at least some sort of, you know, break to a new high there. That's the earliest that we should ever be looking at trying to come into anything. Like, I know some of the best traders at the moment, they're probably only 10-20% invested, because they really sort of want to see a lot more before they get involved in the market. That's how disciplined they are. But, you know, so for me, I'm a little bit, I like getting in a little bit, you know, early, like my cycles. But I just want to see consolidation, and I want to see a move to a slight, you know, I want to see a little swing high taken out. That's the minimum I want to see. So I wouldn't.
So that candle there, or maybe the 5th of July, is that bigger candle? That's the break of the swing high.
That's the first day I would consider getting involved here, 6th of July, on that particular stock there. Yeah, I think we sort of showed. I mean, like Polynovo was obviously one that's looked pretty good here. Had a little move and little handles here. I think once we sort of broke out here, you know, we got the volume behind it here. So good, you know, so we've got something behind us. So it's, you know, be like going out sailing on a when there's no wind around. We're not going to get going here, you know, unless it's sort of got a little bit of gusto behind it. So the volume is the gusto that we need to sort of to get going there. So Bubs is one that I sort of think we've had a nice pullback there, come back and kind of filled some of the gap. That looks pretty interesting. LIC was actually one that I missed, Chris. Yeah, this is what the problem is. Sometimes when you're trading too many already, you don't see them all here. So there's one actually that has been on my radar. It does actually make the list, but see that a false break here. So I come back, did a false break, went to a slight new low, reversed here. Volume's okay. If we zoomed in there, we'd probably take out that really big volume day. Probably looks a bit better. Probably, you know, so it looks a lot better here, that volume down the low. And then this is good volume as well here. So that's nice volume there for the period there. Start to get a move on, and then consolidated here, and then, you know, breaking above the swing high here. Positive, but yeah, some good signs in there. Still some decent volume as well. So that's actually,
where's the entry that you'd ideally take?
Ooh,
that was hindsight.
Yeah, so I like the false break. So basically using the body. So if I saw a break above that level, I'd look at that. So that looks pretty good to me.
So break above the body on the first low, is it? Yeah.
So the first day there for me personally would be 21st of June there. That would be, you know, because we're basically broken above there. So might have a starting position there, and then we're starting to build here, and it's, you know, starting to look quite good. Obviously this day here looking quite good. I mean, my target's only, you know, to go above here. It's a false break of this low, goes back to a last swing high there. So you got it's all about your risk reward. So if I get the trade on there, like if I'm getting that trade on that day, what's that, you know, 12:30, and my stops at this low here, what's that, 11:30. So yeah, so I'm risking $1 as long as I can make, you know, so 15:30 there. If I make 3 to 1 risk reward, then that's okay. Yeah, but yeah, you might want to let you know, sometimes letting these go. These can be bigger moves here, as you know, as our weekly might sort of show. This is still, you know, still a long way off its lows here. But yeah, so it all comes down to your own sort of risk reward rules and stuff, your own parameters and stuff there. So, yeah, all looks pretty good. I mean, I think there was actually one that I looked at. Aussie Broadband actually did one the other day, which I was lucky enough to get a small position on. So that was the low there, like a little false break. See, it's gone just marginally lower. It's also exactly 50% of the high. So I think it was 603 down to 301. So exactly 50% retraction in price. And then we just started to move here. So, you know, if you get a position on here around 303, 305, but you stop, say, just a few cents lower in here, 295, 294. Then you're gonna, you know, get a good risk reward. Then to me, it's all about risk reward. That's the key. You just got to take trades that have got great upside potential. So we're going to take winners and losers. We're just going to make sure that our losers are nice and small and our winners are nice and big. So I mean, if you get a pop like that MP1, you're if you're lucky enough to get a big pop there and you've entered on something pretty tight, and all of a sudden you get a bigger profit than you anticipated, then you might have got a 7 or 8 to 1 risk reward. And that's the way I look at that is, okay, it's just funded my next 7 losses, so I can place 7 trades here, and that's the value play, that risk reward. Yeah, if I lose the next 7, I haven't gone back. I'm gone backwards. So just think about your wins as paying for your losses. So you have to have losses. That's the reality. So it's just a numbers game here. So on the launch pad, number 1 was Liontown LTR. So again, I think you mentioned there quite a few of the so the two stocks, 2 sectors that were coming up here were actually lithium and uranium. So this week, so we got a bit of a movement in some of those. So interesting. Obviously, we've had a bit of a downtrend here. Breaking up above this level here is probably a good sign here. That's probably the first. Again, if we're looking at lower high. Like me personally, I want to see a break above this level here, the swing high. This is a good sign that it's sort of rounded off here. Didn't go to a new low, started to turn up. That's the first positive sign. So that's positive for the sector. A lot of people talking about ZIP here, and I know some volumes down here, but this big volume down here, the whole period here. I would not be trading this one. This is one of the weakest stocks on the board here. Look how aggressive it's been sold down. I mean, I just think this is yesterday's leadership group. Everything I know about markets tells me just don't waste my time. That those old leaders aren't going to become new leaders. This has had a massive decline here. It's sort of, this is a stock everyone talks about. It's just, I think just go and trade somewhere else. I don't know. Look, it might go up. I know it's moving up at the moment, but I just think it's sort of, to me, it's just sort of, I just wouldn't go near it. Just everything I know about markets tells me just to stay away from that one. STA was one we sort of spoke about. It's had a bit of a pop. Looks quite good. Vulcan Energy, it's had an okay move here. The volume's a little light, so I'm probably less excited about this one, although we've had a little pullback here. Broken above a swing high. So look, some people draw little channels in here, Chris, like a little pennant, and you can break out there. That's, maybe you get a little starting position.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, so you can get a little bit of a cheat in here. So this would be breaking above here would be like a little cheat. So obviously I might call this a little high as well. So breaking above here might be a little cheat. So you might, you might trade early, and then once you break above here, then you might add to your position there. But volumes are pretty light here, so this is one that I wouldn't be so excited about. So I want to see a bit more. So on your list, you had quite a few of the uranium stocks were on here. So it's not bad here, but it's sort of starting to build here. It's like a little, of course, little 1-2 pattern there, and then get a third high low, and then away we go. So it's like a low, high, low, second high, low, third low, low. So that's what I think McLaren used to call a 0, 1, 2, 3 pattern. And that's when they can take off. So that looks okay. Volumes are not awesome. So it's not as appealing to me as some other stocks out there. Again, I just want to see some good volume. You can see here, look at the volumes for Iluka. So that really positive move up. So it's really smashed up high here. So, I wouldn't be chasing this, don't get me wrong. But that's a good sign here, good volume coming in here. So there's something going on. And it's also come back to key low here as well on our sort of probably daily and weekly chart. So now we want to see some sort of consolidation back in here, light volume, and then it does sort of swing around a bit, but that's just one to keep an eye on, just because of that volume there. Magellan is another one that's sort of starting to move here. Look, volumes are okay, but probably, ZIP is probably, I've got my Z category stock. Obviously, Magellan's a bit higher up there, so maybe this can get going here, but it's a bit of a beaten up stock here as well. So I think this goes higher here, but you're going to be, we're seeing stocks that have been beaten up the most are going to do them. It's going to be hard to get through all the sellers here that have been disappointed so far. It's just going to be a wave of sellers here are just we're just waiting to get out on the recovery here. So I think it bounces here. I think, but just going to be. I just don't think it's going to have a big move. So yeah, that's the only thing there. I think it'll just it'll work hard to recover there. M&S is I think this looks quite good again, but the volumes are still pretty light here. So although people might get excited about uranium here, it's just a sector that's sort of a bit disappointed there. So there's always been a bit more movement in that lithium sector, so it's probably been a better one to play. I think ARL was a bit of a nickel play here, so it's had a bit of a pop and run here. Interesting, this sort of consolidation really tightened up in here. That's always a good sign actually when you see things tighten up and then start to pop here. Volume's okay without being great. What else was in there? I think there was a couple in there. MAP again had a bit of a pop, but no volume, so not one I chase. ACB, again, another pop here through the 50-day moving average. Again, no volume, wouldn't be chasing it. DUB sort of one that I actually quite like. I've actually been long some of this, or sort of recommended some of this. So it's had a nice little pop here, but of all my stocks that I'm long at the moment, just seeing how the volume's pretty light here, this is the one that actually is, because I'm fully invested, I'm looking to sort of, if I see something really good, I might want to replace something which is not so good. So this is DUB's kind of one at the moment. It's sort of not really firing up here. So, in my portfolio of long stocks here, this might be the one that gets the chop here first. If I see something I really like here, because at the end of the day, we're sort of, we've got to take the best trades on offer there if things are running out as well. So it's one thing the sort of best traders talk about is sort of, getting rid of some of your worst performers or the ones that are not, and you need to be able to sort of add to your best ones. I mean, I made a mistake there. I mean, I really like the Polynovo, but I got fully invested. I had a few chances to add to this. It had a few consolidations, and look at that consolidation just in there. Beautiful consolidation there, light volume. Perfect there. Even this sort of day, even this day here was sort of, I had no money left for us to add to it. So, this is a beautiful consolidation sitting right on top of the previous high. It's a perfect consolidation. But yeah, it's a problem. So sometimes, you got to show some patience. And yeah, I mean, I was tempted, was going to cut something there. I just couldn't work out what to cut. Everything on that sort of day, everything looked pretty good. So, I was almost tempted to send some more money through from elsewhere, but thankfully I just didn't do it. I stay within my rules and behaved here. But yeah, but there's plenty of stocks here like the PPK that have had those really, really mean downtrends and are starting to move here, but the volumes aren't great. And like Zip here, it's just these really beaten up sort of stocks here. They're just not gonna, they can go higher. They're not going to fire up just because there's just so much, there's so much stock here and so much, so many sellers behind here. It's just going to do it. It's going to have to do a ton of work to get through all these disappointed buyers on the way down who'll be looking just to break even on the way out again, just trying to, if I can just get $1 back or get my $1.10 back or my $1.20 back or whatever point they entered in, or half my money back or a quarter of my money back. These severe, ugly downtrends are ones that like this. It's hard to battle through the wave of disappointed buyers here who are looking to get out.
Those rallies, when they eventually do come, they seem less likely to extend. They just seem more likely to be met with selling volume.
It's just tough here when you see a really aggressive downtrend like this. It's just relentless, and one that's look at that volume through there. It's just sort of so much disappointment. So many people trading this thing. So there's just so from this point here. So what's that, sort of from July through to July? So last year, anyone who bought this stock, is underwater. So he's disappointed. So you've got a years full of buyers here, and there's not a little amount of buyers here. There's a lot. Look how active the stock's been, even the last 4 or 5 months here. So it's just, it's just, unfortunately, it's just bad luck for the stock, for the company. But it's just, I just sort of find it's just going to have a tough time to really get going here. I know I see people getting excited by, Zip and some of the, so I think it's a few positive things sort of coming out there. But it's in the wrong sector. It had that massive leverage. It was popular. Now that sector is unpopular. So again, you're in one of the weakest sort of sectors. Everything else is more popular. You got years of disappointed buyers. It's just going to be tough here. Just everything I know about markets just tells me that sort of staying away from it. So I like Magellan. I think Magellan's been unlucky here as well. Everything's gone wrong at the worst possible time for it. So it's been pretty unlucky. I think this is a better investment grade company here, but I just sort of know that again, it's going to be some disappointed buyers here. So it's just going to have some headwinds there. So it's going to really have to hit it out of the park to just get through some of these, buyers in the past. It's also, so can come back here, but I just noticed that sometimes when you've had this really long mean downtrend there, you've just got so many there. That's why, sometimes, like your list is showing here, the stocks that get into the top 30 stocks there, they stay there and they continue there. Oftentimes these are, it's the whole basis here. People think they need to, buy low, sell high, but these momentum stocks here, they tell us the rules. Buy high, sell higher, because they continue to keep trading. They're on the list week after week after week. So the strongest stocks, they often stay the strongest. So, and there's no old sellers in front of us. There's no one who's actually bought at higher prices.
There's not that exodus of selling volume that comes at $24 or whatever it is for Magellan.
That's right. So, it's on this list here. So, I mean, if you look, obviously, Whitehaven's obviously been a cracker here. Obviously, it's been up here, but no one's, apart from yesterday, maybe a day before, that's it at the moment. There's no sort of buyers here who've been sitting at higher prices who are going to selling and hold the stock down here. So that's why sometimes these sort of, if you read about momentum stocks historically, once they sort of get going, they can really sort of motor on. That's why you have these. That's why you get your 80-50 rule. Sometimes you have those momentum stocks, they overdo it. So they keep going because there's no sellers in the way and everyone gets behind them and they really push on. And they have these great, awesome returns. But then once they're done, you get these big declines there because it's just, everyone's all been caught up, pushed this whole thing up here. And then once it starts to turn down, everyone's, then they're all clamoring to get out, So, it's interesting. It's just obviously, I think, we've been doing a list for a while now, Chris, and we just sort of, it's a surprising element to me is sort of, it's what they sort of say is these sort of momentum stocks, they continue to keep trading higher. And oftentimes you think, oh yeah, they're too high, I can't chase it. But if you just wait for a consolidation, wait for it to break a swing high and add to it. So I don't know. It's definitely changed my motives the last sort of year or two, looking at these sort of momentum stocks and just trying to stay, look for the strongest stocks on the board, wait for consolidations, and then go with them. Let's say, if you want to just have a simple trading philosophy, that's probably the best one out there.
That's a good approach, and as you've said, it's really helped with the portfolio. And those who watch your Tuesday report, which is your weekly report, and then the video of walking through it, know the performance has been nothing short of amazing, and it's actually performed kind of better in a bearish market because of the stocks you've been picking. So is that largely been a lot of momentum that you've worked with? You've done the right timing, but
look, it's a mixture of everything. I guess we've sort of switched in, I guess, and I think doing this momentum report here for the last year and a half, and obviously I know personally sort of learning more about momentum stocks as well, and following guys like Minervini, or basically just finding out how the best traders do it. That's probably the one thing I've done the last 2 years. I've sort of, rather than think I've knew it all or read books, I just went out and found out who the best traders were, how they did it, and tried to find out as much as I could about them, what methods they were using, and it's interesting. They're all sort of doing sort of something similar. So it does definitely help there. And just, I guess probably lastly, I just wanted to say, we've got some really good feedback from the YouTube channel. So basically from doing the Tuesdays and also doing the Fridays, doing the momentum stock. So just a big thank you for all the positive comments we've received. So it's really quite nice.
It is inspiring, and it's also kudos to the amount of work you've put in too, Gary, because it's great to do these interviews. So, well, thank you to everyone listening, but also thank you to you putting in the time, sharing your research, sharing your insight on the markets, because without that sort of the momentum, they're just numbers on a page and codes, but you break it down and describe here's what it is, here's why it's happening, here's why this one isn't. So thank you to you as well.
Yeah. No, that's nice. It's really nice and get nice feedback too. But I mean, it's obviously look, I'm personally loving it because since I've sort of changed my tack the last couple of years, so is my returns. Like I just had my best year last year as a personal trader as well, and then we're off to a great start this year. So it's just getting disciplined like this, looking at them every week, going through it and learning. And I'm 51, but I still think I'm learning all the time, so I can get better. So so hopefully we can provide some inspiration for all the traders out there to keep learning, keep improving, and you're never too old to get better.
Well, getting better is definitely something you've done a lot of, and you mentioned in the Tuesday report, so we'll put that on the screen there. If anybody wants to see that playlist, it's there. And you mentioned false breaks. That's kind of a bit like the springs, so we put that tutorial there on the right as well. And we'll come back again on Tuesday for your weekly report, Gary.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Gary.